Microsoft announced today that it's beta testing a bunch of new features for its Game Board overlay on Windows 10, including video capture sharing, cross-platform chat with X-players, and no volume and performance controls. With these new features, Windows 10 itself seems capable of efficiently handling more of the play-adjacent activities, like voice, chatting with friends, or clipping exciting moments that many PC game players offload to third-party tools, like Discord or Nvidia's Shadow Player. The bit about cross-platform communication is especially notable, since it ties PC game players' multiplayer into X Live community. That community is now set to stretch across not just across Windows and X consoles, but also iOS and Android, and it all seems to be beautifully in line with the promise Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella made in 2015 that games are key to Microsoft's broader vision for Windows. We will pursue our gaming ambition as part of this broader vision for Windows and increase its appeal to consumers, Nadella wrote at the time. We will bring X Live and our first-party gaming efforts across PC, console, mobile and new categories like HoloLens into one integrated play. After launching with a few bumps last year, Sea of Thieves is experiencing a resurgence of players thanks to notable streamers showcasing the game on Twitch, while updates and the most recent DLC, Shrouded Spoils, are no doubt the driving force behind the recent surge of interest in the game. Twitch streamers have also contributed to the extra attention, although it is not clear how long the momentum will last. This could serve as a reminder for developers about the impact influencers and streamers have on the success, or continued success, of similar games. Executive producer Johnny 8 discussed the resurgence in Sea of Thieves' latest developer update video, saying how pretty much everything has experienced growth, whether that's monthly active users, or it's the streaming numbers, or even just our sales on our Game Pass. We are seeing really great growth across all of these areas, he explained. With notable streamers having played the game on Twitch, Sea of Thieves has consistently hit the top 3 titles streaming, next to popular titles like League of Legends and Fortnite. This is a huge improvement, as Kotaku points out that the game previously spent most of 2018 with less than 10,000 viewers. Laidlaw offers advice on listening top testing feedback. PC Gamer has published an interview with a couple of key members from the Half-Life 2 development team, Mark Laidlaw and Bill Van Buren, that traces back the influential game's development and some of its 10 groundbreaking moments. The interview itself is pulled from a 2005 issue of PC Gamer United Kingdom, so it's a bit of a throwback in its own right. But it's one that offers an insightful look into both how Half-Life 2 came to be and how methods and tech have evolved in the decade. One such snippet pulled from the third page of the interview covers the complicated process of playtesting through more cinematic and narrative-focused bits, and knowing how to separate what makes for a good playtest from what makes for a good game. As an example of this, Laidlaw recalls how an early introduction to combat sat well with initial playtesters, but the development team felt that it lessened the emotional hits of the game's early moments, withholding those first combat moments until after witnessing the brutality of an in-game enemy. He says, made it so what you were doing was a response to that, not that you were just a killing machine. People would have been happy just to be given a crowbar in Kleiner's lab, so they could go around smashing glassware. But they would not have had the moment where Barney drops it to you. Laid long offers as another example, and a lot of people loved that moment. We would have had great playtests if Alex had given you the crowbar as you entered the lab. But holding it back, players will not say, "Do not give it to me," yet. It's about learning to have faith in the whole lot of the thing. We are pacing it, holding back for the payoff. Mobile games are still driving at star spending over in the United States, according to analytics outfit Sensor Tower, as noted in the company's latest report, via TechCrunch. App Store revenue generated per active U.S. iPhone rose by 36% to $79 in 2018, up from $58 in 2017, with mobile games accounting for over half of that per device average. More specifically, mobile games accounted for 56% of that average consumer spend. So around $44 of the total $79 spent per iPhone. As the graph below shows, that means U.S. iPhone owners spent 22% more on mobile games in 2018 than in 2017, when the average spend on video games was $36 per iPhone. It also means mobile games continue to dwarf other app categories, with entertainment spending finishing a distant second, with $8 spent per iPhone. For more tidbits from the report, be sure to head on over to TechCrunch. PlayStation has reviewed the games it will be offering free to PlayStation Plus subscribers next month, and in doing so reviewed the last games to come to both the Vita and PS3 through the program. It's been over 12 years since the PlayStation 3 first launched, and only 7 since the Vita debuted, so the idea that Sony would leave its legacy systems behind as it continues on with its current generation hardware is not an entirely shocking one. After all, the company made a similar cut by removing both platforms from its PlayStation Now program way back in 2017 as well. Though PlayStation 3 and Vita players will still be able to access their library of previous PlayStation Plus titles, PlayStation will not be offering free games for either platform. After this Final Four, the PS3, Best Division and Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, the Vita Skullhouse and Raw Gases, leave the rotation on March 8th. The company originally announced that it would be pulling the plug on the PlayStation 3 and Vita side of its Plusbox about this time last year, so today's reminder should not come as a surprise by any means. Both platforms have also seen a decline in support for some time, leading up to both the initial announcement and today's reminder as well, particularly the PlayStation Vita, which is due to end production in Japan sometime this year. Paul Velocity, senior economy designer at King, and Pietro Guardascioni, senior director of envelope design at King. Hero was an action RPG that was developed by King and soft-launched during 2016 in different countries in Asia. In the game, you could choose among 3 heroes, warrior, mage or archer, to play through levels that consisted of sets of successive combats against groups of enemies of various types. Although the game was cancelled before making it to a global release, the design challenges that were faced during its development gave us some valuable learnings about designing mobile RPGs. The purpose of this article is to collect our experiences while designing some of the systems in the game. The main loop of the game was rather simple. By completing quests, players accumulated gold that could be spent buying new items. Stronger equipment increased the overall power of the hero, which in turn allowed quests of increasing difficulty to be played, with the simple main loop described above. The overall player experience was determined essentially by three game systems. A combat system, consisting of all the elements that contribute to the outcome of a combat and their interrelations. As in many RPGs, these elements include player stats like attack, health and defense, chance of dealing critical damage, elemental or splash damage, etc. The outcome of a combat is determined through the combat equations that relate the status of heroes to those of enemies. For instance, given the attack power of a hero and a monster's health, the equations of combat determine the number of hits it will take to kill that monster. A progression system, which consists of the set of rules that determine how the different hero and monster stats grow as the player progresses through the game. In hero, progression was mainly driven by gear. The status of a character were determined by the gear he had equipped.